2011 wasn't a fantastic year for animated movies, though I do think there were a few standouts. For me, Winnie the Pooh was definitely the best of the bunch, but I don't think it's getting the attention it deserves. The Annie nominees came out, they honor animated movies, and sadly, it wasn't a Best Picture nominee, and yet there were 10 nominees. Jim, what do you think?
I liked Winnie the Pooh, but I'll tell you my favorite animated movie of the year is between Rango, which I thought was hysterically funny, and The Adventures of Tintin, which is motion capture. Maybe that's a slightly different animal. Nonetheless, the final image on the screen is animated.
Right.
The Adventures of Tintin is one of the best movies of the year.
I agree.
And this is sort of the year of Spielberg. I mean, this is the first year I can think of where two movies directed by Steven Spielberg have come out in the same year, even though I know the principal photography on Tintin was probably done 2-3 years ago.
They've been working on it for 3 years. And the thing that I loved about Tintin, and I have 2 animated films in my top 10 this year. One is The Illusionist, which is this beautiful little film that was up for an Oscar last year, but it was not released in most cities until this year. It's gorgeous, traditionally animated film.
Great animation,
Oh, it's so spectacular. And I loved that. But I also love The Adventures of Tintin, which is the polar opposite. It's not traditionally animated, as Jim was saying. It's motion capture, but it's done with such verve and humor. And of course, I really liked War Horse, which is the bigger, more prominent Oscar contender, more serious movie. But Tintin just has such energy and spirit to it, and it's just so entertaining.
And Rango and Tintin are really the ones they're thinking for the Oscar. And for
Rango
the
I love
Globe.
too, and I also really enjoyed Winnie the Pooh, and I don't know why it hasn't gotten more attention.
Yes,
it's charming.
I think a movie that keeps growing and growing is Arthur Christmas. And it has just so much depth to it and layers and family relationships to it. In fact, it has comedy to it, but in a way it's also a drama. But it's very good. I love the animation to it. I think it's one of the best animated of the year.
I enjoyed that movie.
Yes.
I liked Arthur Christmas a lot. I think it's going to be one of the Christmas perennials. I think in a couple of years it's going to be like Elf and Scrooge and Miracle on 34th Street. It's going to be like on the cable channels all the time.
Because it has heart. I mean, it's very funny. It has a lot of action, but it also has heart, which often is missing even from a Christmas film.
And I love James McAvoy's voice performance in that.
Yes.
He was also good in Romeo and Juliet, which I thought was just a lot of Okay, all right. Let's go through this. Let's go through this. You don't like talking gnomes. You don't like talking gnomes.
I don't like talking gnomes mangling Elton John songs.
I thought the music was perfectly done well in there. I just thought it was clever and original and
You and I will never agree on this movie, Jack.
I remember the only thing you liked was the Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was in it.
That's true. I like the Hulk Hogan cameo.
But
when the Hulk Hogan cameo is the only redeeming feature in a movie, you know you're in trouble.
But Michael Caine had a good year. He was in Romeo and Juliet and Cars 2, which a lot of people didn't like Cars 2, but I just thought it was fun, pure entertainment if you take it seriously of what it is.
I didn't dislike Cars 2. I thought it was... They had somehow changed this franchise in one movie into a James Bond movie.
A complete
with
360,
wheels.
yes.
But it was... the environmental message I thought was timely. It was a fast-paced story. I loved Michael Caine's voice performance in it.
Mater is just so funny. Larry the Cable Guy is so great. Classic lines, but a good amount of action in Cars 2. I was disappointed with a couple animated films. Happy Feet 2, which I didn't like the original either, but this was just a mess.
That's because it outgrows Cars, be honest.
And Rio, which I was disappointed because...
I liked Rio. I didn't love it.
The Blue Sky animation people are known for the Ice Age movies. It was so bland, not original at all. You're just sitting there. I thought the animation was great, but the story, not very good at all.
I didn't dislike Rio. I don't know how you pan penguins. I sat down to write a review on that, and I'm like, I don't know how to pan penguins.
They're just singing and dancing to these songs to be current in the world, and that's not what you do.
A lot of people love penguins, though, and they love singing penguins, and they love dancing penguins.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
Penguins, it's just like...
it was so awkward to watch some of those
scenes. There must be some other wingless, flightless waterfowl that could have their moment in Hollywood.
Ostrich,
yeah.
Well, you can do ostriches, I suppose, and avoid the water.
They're not
Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots I like.
It's fun.
I like that.
It's good as a prequel. You still root for Puss in Boots, even though it's a prequel.
And Antonio
to
Banderas,
Shrek
I'm
2.
sorry, he can say anything when he's wearing, well, he's not wearing it, but when his alter ego is wearing those boots. And I'll just... dropping the ball laughing.
And an animated movie that probably no one really saw was Hoodwink 2, Hood vs. Evil, a sequel to an animated movie called Hoodwink, which had come out 5 years earlier, which it had been in the can for so long, and the Weinstein Company just finally put it out there. But it didn't get a lot of attention. It was okay. I didn't think it was as good as the original. It's all about Red Riding Hood and the whole twist and Granny and the wolf. But it was okay for what it was.
What is it with these Red Riding Hood movies? Because that was horrific, that other film that came out.
Well, the fairy tales are in the public domain,
Yeah.
and Tim Burton made $1 billion on Alice in Wonderland. So now they're running around looking for stuff that's in the public domain. We've got dueling Snow Whites coming up.
Yes.
Dueling Snow Whites. That's
That's
a visual
interesting.
image.
That
I want
is
to see.
very interesting.
Are they dueling with lightsabers? Or are they dueling
No.
with
Well,
guns?
Kristen
dueling...
Stewart's doing it for Universal.
And Julia Roberts is talking
and
about
Lily
her
Collins
wrinkles,
is doing it
which
for
is-
Relativity.
Please,
Why do we
Julia
need?
Roberts.
Why do
I
we
don't-
need that many Snow Whites?
You've got the 37 Disney one.
Because
that's
they'd already
animated.
they'd already invested so much development money that nobody was going to blink.
I don't understand it.
Universal and Relativity got into what amounted to, I guess we'll say, peeing war with each other, trying to figure out who was going to release first.
Let's not picture that, folks.
No, let's not.
But they really did just keep they kept just like, okay, we're going to release a week before you, and then they'd get tiddlywinks
keep
back
going
by
and
the
going.
What I want to see are movies based on the original Grimm fairy tales, which are really morbid.
And that's what they're doing with these TV shows on the networks. You've got Once Upon a Time for ABC
Yeah.
and Grimm with NBC that are both based on these fairy tales. I quickly want to mention Kung Fu Panda 2, a little bit disappointing.
It was enjoyable to me, but I didn't fall in love
Wasn't
with
as
it.
fun.
No.
They focused too much on the dark elements of it and the action, and not as much on the
I agree.
comedic tone.
I agree. It wasn't as
Definitely.
funny. The action was fine, but there was too much of it, which is a strange thing to complain about. But
It is a strange thing to complain about that.
All right, so some hopeful animated movies for next year: Ice Age 4, Madagascar 3, and Pixar's Brave.